Hello YouTube, welcome to Broken Couch Gaming. This is my first video on my brand new variety gaming channel. It's inspired by my real life broken couch that broke from way too many late nights on my gaming laptop. For my first video I thought we'd deep dive into my Steam library to showcase this ridiculous collection of games I have. It's a good mix of immersive storytelling, world history, simulations, classics we all know and love, and a lot of negligence. You see, I got a lot of games here, 216, including most of the DLC, which I usually purchase because I don't like buying half a game. So I'll wait for them to go on sale and purchase them as whole as I can. But out of these 216 games, I've only played 41. Now, of course, some of these games I played on old accounts as well as consoles like the PlayStation and the Xbox. So this isn't a true representation of my entire gaming history. This is just over the last few years since I got my new gaming laptop back in 2022 to replace my fried gaming PC. This was also the year I bought my very first brand new couch. I was so proud of my very first brand new couch. I bought her with the unemployment money I saved during the pandemic. She was so perfect, so comfortable, and everything a lazy gamer that fried his desktop could dream of. But after mere months of gaming, uneven support, and ignoring the downfall of civilization all around me, she finally gave in. Imagine my disappointment. My new couch was made of soft, cheap plywood, and now she sags in the front. Her wooden bones stick out the back and the sides. I couldn't just give up on her now, though. Not after I saw how inflation took my dreams of replacing her away from me. So instead, she becomes the face of my brand new gaming channel. A true broken survivor with a new legacy to pass on. Welcome to my broken couch, and take a seat. Anyways, back to Steam. I thought I'd start my mini reviews with my most played games. The ones I stuck with till they truly broke my couch. Starting with Crusader Kings 3 at 1,376 hours. This is my most played game on my account, and it's my only one over 1,000 hours. But it makes sense because it's one of my all-time favorite games. I love history and alternate historic timelines. I love immersive storytelling. And it also has pretty much endless replayability, especially with the amount of mods it has, like the Game of Thrones mod and the Fallen Eagle historical mod. I'm also a fan of Paradox games in general. I have my own collection here called the Paradox Timeline. This is meant to represent human history from Imperial Rome and antiquity, all the way to the space age with Stellaris. Now I have over 100 hours in most Paradox games, and I am aware that this still makes me a rookie. But I did just discover Paradox games. Crusader Kings 3 was the first game I played. But even games like Hearts of Iron 4, where I put 835 hours in, I still feel like a noob. But it's still fun for me to play and learn, and I have fun painting the map regardless. I even have fun with their lesser played games like Victoria 3 and Imperial Rome, which I enjoy especially with the Invictus mod. I'd like to come back to classics like Europa Universalis 4 and Stellaris. I know they're classics for a reason, so I'd love to put more hours into them. My ultimate ambition with the Paradox timeline is to do a Paradox Grand campaign, where you start with Imperial Rome and you pick a faction or a culture, and you play it all the way through the eras of history until you reach Stellaris. So hopefully I can fulfill this ambition on this channel sometime, and it's something I'm looking forward to in the future. Moving on from Crusader Kings 3 and Paradox to my second most played game, it's Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord at 985 hours. This is one of my favorite battle simulations. It's quite the spectacle and offers a unique perspective of a general and a soldier on the battlefield. It's a great storyteller with memorable characters, and it's always fun to go from rags to riches and zero to hero. That hero being a king, a mercenary lord, or even a wealthy merchant. Unexpected character deaths with the permadeath option make it even more interesting. It helps to close the storyline when the campaign struggles towards the end. But despite the campaign struggling toward the end, it's still one of my all-time favorite games. Moving on to my third most played game, it's Hell Let Loose at 968 hours. Now this game is unique in my account because it's a first-person player versus player online shooter game. And these games are not really my kind of style. I'm not really into the Fortnite and Call of Duty kind of gaming. I'm more of a lone wolf, I enjoy taking my own time and playing by my own style and my own rules. But this game is the exception because it's very fun and addictive for me. The immersion and realism makes it more like a frontline simulation than the other games like Call of Duty. And the slow pacing and the one-shot kills lead to a lot of unexpected gameplay, and it makes you rely heavily on your squad and your team. The Vietnam game is coming soon. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's been pushed back a couple times, that's fine with me. Take your time and make it as good as Hell Let Loose. Now a quick shout out to the other online games I have in my library. The first one is Chivalry 2, a medieval melee combat fighter. I had a lot of fun in this one as well. And a World War I shooter called Over the Top. But despite having a lot of fun in these games, I didn't have as much fun as I did in Hell Let Loose. Now moving on past Hearts of Iron 4 because I covered them during the Paradox collection, I'd like to talk about my favorite city building series. It's Tropico 6 at 799 hours. Now I have a long history with the Tropico series. Tropico 3 was one of my first city builders I ever remember playing, and it quickly became my favorite. The setting of a Caribbean island dictatorship, the gameplay of dealing with laws, lobbies, building your own fantasy island, and dealing with citizens down to the personal level. But one thing that was always very unique for me was the humor. I always forget about how funny this game is until I come back to it, and I find myself laughing in the most awkward situations. I can't wait for Tropico 7, it's on my wish list, and I hope it's as good as the last games. I really have no complaints about Tropico, it's one of my all-time favorite city builders. Moving on to my last mini review of my most played games, I'd like to talk about the Total War series as a whole. Now, the Total War series is my most played game by far. I've probably played Total War about 15 years, give or take. Now, I started with Empire, so I missed the early glory days of games like Rome and Medieval 2. But I do remember seeing those games on a History Channel documentary when I was a kid. And when I finally found them, they satisfied every gaming niche I had been looking for. It's definitely the first game I'll showcase on my channel as it's the one I'm the most familiar with. I have my own collection of Total War games, much like my Paradox collection. And my favorite Total War games are the historical games like Attila and Rome 2, especially with the DEI mod. My least favorite games are the recent series of games they came out with, like Pharaoh and the Saga series, Troy, and Thrones of Britannia. There's a big divide between classic Total War games like Medieval 2 and modern Total War games like Pharaoh and Warhammer. I'm a big fan of Total War Warhammer Fantasy, but I don't think I'm as good at it as I am the historical Total War games. Because these games have changed so much over the years, the community's struggling a little bit. A lot of creators have quit for one reason or another, but there's still a lot of content that can be made. It's not a showcase of my talent. I'm nothing like Legend of Total War or anything. But I do think I offer an interestingly unique storytelling style that can be entertaining for all skill levels, whether you're just discovering Total War or whether you're an old veteran that's stuck in their ways. The future of Total War is interesting. Warhammer Fantasy is coming to an end after 3 games, and Warhammer 40k will be taking its place. Medieval 3 is going to be the next historical Total War game, and there's a lot of skepticism about whether these games are going to be good or not. Now, me personally, I think the skepticism is justified. Being a fan of Creative Assembly over the years, you tend to learn that they let you down every once in a while. But if there's one thing I'm hopeful about the future, it's that they have classic creators involved in the development process. And they've said some good positive things about it. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see if the glory of Total War can be restored. Now moving on from my most played games in my library, I just wanted to give some quick highlights on some lesser played games like Company of Heroes 1 through 3. I played and beat all 3 campaigns in this game, and I even had a lot of fun playing the sandboxes. Company of Heroes has a reputation for being arcadey, but the quick rapid RTS style can still be very fun and rewarding. As I mentioned before, I'm not much into online multiplayer, so I don't play this game competitively. But from what I understand, the community is substantially smaller than it used to be, and it's spread out between the 3 games. With Relic going independent, it'll be interesting to see if Company of Heroes can return to its glory days. But maybe we'll have to wait till Company of Heroes 4 comes out to see if that's true. The World Wars are one of my favorite categories, both in history and in gaming. And it's also one of my biggest collections in my Steam library. Next, I'd like to talk about the Age of Empires series. Now, we all know Age of Empires 2 is a classic. I remember playing the purple faction before I even knew what a Byzantine was. And a lot like Company of Heroes, I was more of a sandbox and a campaign player than anything else. But I stopped playing Age of Empires when I found Total War. When the fourth one came out, I thought it would be fun to go back and see how the series had evolved over the years. I know it's not that popular, but it was still fun to come back to it after all that time. I just wish they'd put a little bit more love and attention into such a classic series. Coming back to city builders real quick, I wanted to talk about my second favorite city builder, City Skylines. I think when SimCity collapsed, we were all looking for the next heir to the modern style city builder, and this game filled that void perfectly. Unfortunately, like SimCity, City Skylines 2 struggled quite a bit. The updates weren't coming quick enough. The early reviews were very critical of the game's content, and it almost looked like it was going to get abandoned. But content creators like City Planner Plays have shown the game's improvement over the years, and I'm looking forward to playing it soon in the future. I also have a lot of fun in other city builders like the Anno series. I played 117 a lot more than 1800 because I prefer the Roman setting a little bit more. But I would like to go back to 1800. I know it's a classic in the series. I took a little break from Anno 117. I'm just waiting for a little more updates and polishing, and then I'm looking forward to going straight back in. There's also classic city builders like Banished. I had a tough time learning this game. I was pretty sure like the first 40 hours I was learning it, the game was broken. But once I figured it out and everything clicked, it was a lot of fun. And there's also new early access stars like Manor Lords. This game gets compared a lot to Total War because it has land battles, but honestly I feel like it's more related to an updated version of Banished, especially the start. But the reality is Manor Lords is its own game, but it offers a lot and I'm looking forward to see what the 1.0 release looks like. Now as you can see, I love gameplay that involves accumulating a lot of resources and providing the logistics to make sure everyone has what they need. City builders to me offer a unique storytelling opportunity. And it's fun to go from nothing to uncontrollable chaos, wondering how it's all going to end, or if it'll end at all, and just continue on forever. And it's for this reason I like park builders as well. Games like Jurassic World Evolution. I just finished the first game, and I had a lot of fun beating everything. I know the third one came out most recently, and I'll probably pick it up after its DLC is all finished. I remember purchasing the second one halfway through its DLC cycle, and I really just wish I would have waited until it was finished. I just like to play games in order if I can. It's fun for me to compare the first game in the series to the last game in the series. So I'm looking forward to checking out Jurassic World Evolution 3 soon. Another park builder I enjoy is Planet Coaster. I was a big fan of Roller Coaster Tycoon as a kid. It was one of the first PC games I remember playing. I'm enjoying going through the Planet Coaster story mode challenges. They're kind of hard for someone who struggles with physics like me, but they're really rewarding and satisfying when you can figure them out. A lot like City Skylines 2, I waited on Planet Coaster 2 because of the mixed reviews. But a lot like City Skylines 2, Planet Coaster 2 seems to be doing much better now. Both Planet Coaster and Jurassic World are Frontier games, and I enjoy Frontier games. I can say that I'm a fan of that studio. I'd also like to try the Planet Zoo games. I've never played the first one, and I know the second one will be coming out soon. So that's something we could look forward to playing. My favorite indie game in my library is Schedule 1 by far. It's both funny and fun, which is rare these days in a video game that's so popular. My only complaint with Schedule 1 is that you press the W key a little bit too much, and it actually broke my W key on my laptop. So it's really broken couch, broken laptop gaming. But that don't sound as good. I haven't played Schedule 1 in a while, and it's something I definitely need to come back to soon. Now lastly, I'd just like to talk about a couple of all-time favorites of mine. The first is Skyrim. This is such a great, fun game to come back to anytime. It's always a unique experience. Even when I play it the same way over and over again, it always ends differently. I know there's controversial opinions on Todd Howard, the Elder Scrolls, and where Skyrim ranks and all that, but I don't really care. You see, it was the first fantasy game I ever played, and it was really the thing that got me into fantasy in the first place. Things like Game of Thrones, Warhammer, and Lord of the Rings, I don't think I'd ever appreciate them the way I do now if it wasn't for Skyrim. So for that, it holds a special place in my heart. I also think it has one of the best gaming soundtracks ever made. There's not a lot that I could say about Skyrim that hasn't been said already since its release, and it's been on almost every platform since then as well. The only thing that I can hope for is The Elder Scrolls 6 is as good and memorable as Skyrim, Oblivion, and Morrowind. A quick funny story about another fantasy game in my library. I'd like to tell you about my experience with Baldur's Gate 3. Turns out I'm not as good at turn-based RPGs as I am at turn-based strategy games like Total War. I got my whole crew killed in the first act, and I rage quit because I forgot to save. It's embarrassing, I know, but I'll redeem myself one day. I really want to come back and finish this storyline, because I know it's a good game. Now the last game that I want to talk about that I played that made the biggest impression on me, it's probably going to be a surprise. It's actually the Sims series. Now the reason the Sims series had such a big impact on me is because I played The Sims 1 when I was a little kid, and it really made me want a PC. And it made me want to become a PC gamer, even though it was way beyond my limitations at the time. I feel like The Sims 3 is the high point of that. It's kind of the culmination of the series, and it's also my favorite of the series. It has the most realistic open world, and it can be pretty hard sometimes. I think people forget how hard the old Sims games were, especially compared to The Sims 4, which is almost like a fairy tale world compared to the games like The Sims 1 through 3. You really felt like you were hanging on by a thread in the old Sims games. I know they added a lot of features that they had removed from The Sims 4 back into the game, but it still just doesn't feel the same. And it would be nice to see them go back to a more grounded human sim, but I'm not counting on anything. But for that, I'd like to give a shout out to a game that might be the future of human sims, and that's Paralives. I played this game recently, and it's quite surprising how good it is, and how much content it has to offer already. It's in early access, so it's not finished yet, but the future's looking good for the game with their policies of no paid DLC and free updates. It can truly revolutionize the human sim genre that The Sims had taken over. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the 1.0 release looks like for Paralives. And with that, this wraps up my most played and my favorites. Now for the real embarrassing part. A true showcase of my mindless consumerism on display, and the rampant damage Steam sales due to the hopeless seekers. I'm not so good at math, so I don't know what percentage 41 out of 216 is, but I know it's pretty low. Now we can call this future content, or a collection of the unwanted. I have about 100 titles that you could all watch me play for the first time. So just leave a comment and tell me what you'd like to see me slog through. Or we can let Steam decide, and I'll play whatever random game they tell me to play in the Play Next category. Here they want me to play Jurassic World Evolution 2 next, probably because I finished Jurassic World Evolution 1 recently. We can also get real creative and create a spin the wheel backlog challenge or something like that. I have a lot of ideas to catch up on this backlog, so I'm asking for your help. Here's one more quick look at my least played games. Now after this showcase, you may notice a pattern in my most played and favorite games. I enjoy a good story-driven, realistic simulation for total immersion and gameplay that a lot of people can relate to and find compelling and entertaining. But in the end, I love variety and new experiences, and I'll really play anything fun, weird, chaotic, and even some that are broken, like my couch. So if you're into finding new gaming channels, discovering new games, looking back at classics, or seeing what we can do with this backlog, you've come to the right place. And I appreciate you spending your valuable time with me. So everyone, thanks for checking out my first video. Let me know what you think. I'll be back very soon with my first Let's Play. It'll definitely be a Total War game to start this channel. And if I get a request for our first backlog game, then we'll run both. We'll run a Total War game and a backlog game simultaneously. So if all this sounds interesting to you, and you want to get in on the ground floor of a new gaming channel, hit that subscribe and like, and thanks for hanging out on this broken couch with me. And stay tuned for more gaming from the broken couch.